More than 5,000 years ago, while much of the world was still scattered into small villages, a remarkable civilization was rising along the banks of a single river. It would build monuments so massive that they would survive for thousands of years. It would develop one of the world's earliest systems of writing, create breathtaking works of art, and rule for more than 3 millennia. This is the story of ancient Egypt. Egypt was born because of one river, the Nile, flowing for more than 6,000 kilometers. It carried life through one of the driest landscapes on Earth. Every year, seasonal floods covered the land with rich, fertile soil. Crops flourished, villages grew, communities prospered. Without the Nile, ancient Egypt could never have existed. Nature protected Egypt. To the east and west, endless deserts formed natural barriers. To the south, powerful cataracts made river travel difficult. To the north, the Nile opened into the Mediterranean Sea. These natural defenses allowed Egyptian civilization to grow with remarkable stability for centuries. The river united the land. The desert protected it. Long before the Great Pyramids, ordinary people laid the foundations of Egyptian civilization. Farmers cultivated wheat and barley. Craftsmen shaped stone, wood, and clay. Fishermen drew food from the Nile. Traders carried goods between growing settlements. Every harvest, every house built, every child taught, helped create one of history's greatest civilizations. But Egypt was not yet one kingdom. It was divided into 2 lands: Upper Egypt in the south, Lower Egypt in the north. Before the pyramids, before the mighty pharaohs, one ruler would unite these lands, forever changing the course of history. His story begins next. Around 3100 BC, the Nile Valley was divided into 2 kingdoms: Upper Egypt, stretching through the southern Nile Valley, and Lower Egypt, spreading across the fertile delta where the Nile met the Mediterranean Sea. Though separated by politics, both depended on the same river. Both shared similar beliefs, traded with one another, and competed for power. Soon, that rivalry would come to an end. According to archaeological evidence, one ruler rose above all others. His name is most commonly identified as Narmer. Many historians believe Narmer was the king who united Upper and Lower Egypt, becoming Egypt's first pharaoh. Some scholars associate him with the legendary ruler called Menes in later Egyptian tradition. Whether Narmer and Menes were the same person remains a subject of debate. But the birth of a united Egypt is one of history's greatest turning points. One of the most important objects from ancient Egypt is the Narmer palette, carved more than 5,000 years ago. It shows a king wearing both the white crown of Upper Egypt and the red crown of Lower Egypt. Historians interpret the palette as a powerful symbol of Egypt's unification. While some details remain open to interpretation, it provides remarkable evidence for the emergence of one united kingdom. After unification, a new capital rose near the point where Upper and Lower Egypt met, Memphis. From here, the pharaoh governed a kingdom unlike any before it. Officials collected taxes, scribes recorded harvests, craftsmen built temples, farmers fed a growing population. Egypt had become one of the world's earliest centralized states. Its strength would soon make extraordinary achievements possible. The title of pharaoh would become one of the most famous in history. Egyptians believed their ruler was chosen to maintain Ma'at, the divine principle of order, justice, and harmony. Under the pharaoh's rule, Egypt entered an age of ambition unlike anything the ancient world had seen. Soon, kings would attempt something that seemed impossible. They would build monuments, that would stand for thousands of years. Around 2686 BC, Egypt entered what historians now call the Old Kingdom. It was an age of stability, prosperity, and extraordinary ambition. Pharaohs no longer sought only to rule during their lifetimes. They wished to leave behind monuments that would endure forever. Their vision would reshape the Egyptian landscape and astonish humanity for thousands of years. The first great breakthrough came under Pharaoh Djoser. His chief architect, Imhotep, imagined something the world had never seen. Instead of building a traditional mud brick tomb, he designed a monument of stone. The result was the Step Pyramid of Saqqara, the world's first monumental stone structure. Imhotep's achievement transformed architecture forever, earning him a reputation as one of history's greatest builders. Generations later, Egypt reached the height of pyramid construction. Pharaoh Khufu ordered the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza, originally standing nearly 147 meters, or 481 feet, tall. It remained the tallest human-made structure on Earth for almost 4,000 years. Nearby, the Pyramids of Khafra and Menkaure completed one of history's most extraordinary architectural landscapes. For centuries, people wondered how the pyramids were built. Some imagined lost civilizations, or even supernatural forces. Archaeological discoveries tell a different story. Evidence shows that skilled Egyptian workers, organized into well-managed teams, quarried stone, transported massive blocks, and built these monuments using remarkable engineering techniques. Exactly how every stage was completed is still being studied, but the builders were human. Their achievement was extraordinary. Guarding the pyramids stands another enduring mystery, the Great Sphinx. Carved from a single outcrop of limestone, it has watched over Egypt for more than 4,000 years. Its purpose, and some aspects of its construction, continue to inspire debate. But one thing is certain: the age of the pyramids established ancient Egypt as one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever known. To the ancient Egyptians, the pharaoh was more than a king. He was believed to be the earthly representative of the gods, entrusted with preserving Ma'at, the sacred principle of truth, justice, balance, and harmony. His responsibility was not only to rule the people, but to maintain order throughout the entire universe. If the pharaoh fulfilled his duty, Egypt would prosper. No pharaoh ruled alone. Behind every successful king stood an army of skilled officials. The vizier served as the kingdom's highest administrator. Scribes recorded laws, taxes, harvests, and royal decrees. Engineers supervised construction. Priests cared for temples. Soldiers defended Egypt's borders. Together, they formed one of the ancient world's most sophisticated governments. While the pharaoh ruled from magnificent palaces, ordinary Egyptians built the civilization's true strength. Farmers produced food. Craftsmen created beautiful works of art. Builders raised temples, tombs, and monuments. Merchants connected Egypt with distant lands. Families lived, worked, celebrated festivals, and passed their traditions from one generation to the next. Together, they created a civilization that endured for more than 3,000 years. One of Egypt's greatest achievements was its writing system. Hieroglyphs. More than beautiful symbols, they recorded history, religion, literature, and the achievements of kings. Scribes spent years mastering this complex script. Their work preserved Egypt's story, allowing modern archaeologists to read voices from more than 4,000 years ago. But every pharaoh knew that earthly power would one day end. Beyond this life, They believed another journey awaited, a journey through the realm of the gods, where the fate of every soul would be decided. To prepare for eternity, the ancient Egyptians developed extraordinary beliefs and remarkable burial traditions. Their secrets still fascinate the world today. To the ancient Egyptians, the world was alive with divine power. They believed the gods governed every part of existence, from the rising of the sun to the flooding of the Nile and the changing of the seasons. Among the most revered were Ra, the sun god; Osiris, lord of the afterlife; Isis, goddess of healing and motherhood; and Horus, protector of kingship. Their stories shaped Egyptian religion for thousands of years. Egyptians believed that death was not the end. It was the beginning of another journey. They believed that every person possessed spiritual elements that could continue after death, if the body was preserved and the proper rituals were performed. In the Hall of Judgment, the heart of the deceased was believed to be weighed against the feather of Ma'at. A heart found to be truthful and just could enter eternal life. This belief gave profound meaning to how Egyptians lived and how they prepared for death. To prepare for eternity, Egyptians developed one of history's most remarkable preservation techniques: mummification. Skilled embalmers carefully treated the body over many weeks, drying it with natron salt, wrapping it in layers of linen, and placing protective amulets among the bandages. The goal was not simply preservation, it was to prepare the individual for life beyond death. Many tombs contained collections of sacred writings, known today as the Book of the Dead. Rather than a single book, these were collections of prayers, hymns, and guidance. Egyptians believed these texts could help the deceased overcome obstacles, navigate the afterlife, and safely reach the presence of the gods. They reveal not only religious beliefs, but also the hopes and fears of an ancient civilization. Religion was woven into every part of Egyptian life. It inspired magnificent temples, guided kings, comforted families, and shaped one of history's most enduring civilizations. Yet Egypt's greatest chapters were still to come. Powerful rulers would expand the kingdom, build magnificent monuments, and transform Egypt into one of the greatest empires of the ancient world. Throughout Egypt's long history, most pharaohs were men, but around 1479 BC, one remarkable woman changed history. Her name was Hatshepsut. She first ruled as regent for her young stepson, Thutmose III. Yet over time, she assumed the full title and authority of pharaoh, becoming one of ancient Egypt's most successful rulers. Hatshepsut understood that ruling Egypt required more than power. It required legitimacy. Official inscriptions portrayed her as chosen by the gods, especially the god Amun. Statues often showed her wearing the royal headdress, and even the ceremonial false beard, symbols of kingship rather than gender. Her reign demonstrated that authority in Egypt rested not only on tradition, but also on the ability to govern successfully. Rather than seeking glory through constant warfare, Hatshepsut strengthened Egypt through trade. One of her greatest achievements was an expedition to the mysterious land of Punt. Reliefs carved into her temple describe ships returning with incense trees, precious woods, ivory, gold, and exotic animals. The journey enriched Egypt, strengthened international connections, and became one of the most celebrated expeditions of the ancient world. Hatshepsut invested heavily in architecture. Across Egypt, temples were restored, monuments expanded, and towering obelisks raised toward the sky. Her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari remains one of the masterpieces of ancient architecture. It reflected not only royal ambition, but also an era of peace, prosperity, and artistic achievement. After Hatshepsut's death, many of her statues were damaged, and parts of her legacy were deliberately removed from monuments. Historians continue to debate why, yet her achievements could not be erased forever. Through archaeology, her story has been reconstructed. Today, Hatshepsut is recognized as one of the greatest rulers in Egyptian history, proving that wisdom, vision, and leadership can leave a legacy that endures for thousands of years. Around 1353 BC, Egypt entered one of the most remarkable chapters in its history. Pharaoh Akhenaten introduced sweeping religious changes. He elevated the worship of the Aten, represented as the radiant disk of the sun, above Egypt's traditional gods. He founded a new royal capital, Akhenaten, known today as Amarna. His reforms transformed religion, art, and royal life, unlike anything Egypt had seen before. Akhenaten's religious revolution remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Historians continue to debate his motives and how widely his reforms were accepted. After his death, many of the traditional religious practices returned. His city was gradually abandoned, and later rulers removed many references to his reign. Yet his bold attempt to reshape Egyptian belief continues to fascinate scholars today. After a period of uncertainty, a young boy became pharaoh. His name, Tutankhamun. He ascended the throne at around 9 years of age. During his reign, Egypt restored many traditional religious practices and reopened temples that had been neglected. Although his rule was relatively short, history would remember him for an entirely different reason. In 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter made one of the greatest discoveries in archaeological history. Hidden beneath the sands of the Valley of the Kings lay the nearly intact tomb of Tutankhamun. Inside, thousands of extraordinary objects had remained untouched for more than 3,000 years. The discovery transformed our understanding of ancient Egypt and captivated the entire world. Soon after the discovery, stories spread of a mysterious curse surrounding the tomb. These tales captured the public imagination. But historians have found no reliable evidence that a supernatural curse existed. The real wonder of Tutankhamun's tomb lies not in myth, but in the extraordinary window it provides into one of history's greatest civilizations. Yet Egypt's greatest warrior king was still to come. Around 1279 BC, a new pharaoh ascended Egypt's throne. His name was Rameses II. History would remember him as Rameses the Great. He ruled for more than 60 years, longer than almost any other Egyptian king. During his reign, Egypt reached a new height of power, wealth, and international influence. One of Ramesses' greatest military campaigns took place at the Battle of Kadesh. There, Egyptian forces clashed with the powerful Hittite Empire. Ramesses later celebrated the battle as a great victory through inscriptions carved across Egypt. Modern historians believe the outcome was likely closer to a military stalemate. Even so, it demonstrated Egypt's strength and became one of the best documented battles of the ancient world. Years after the fighting, Egypt and the Hittite Empire chose a different path. They negotiated what is widely recognized as one of the world's earliest surviving international peace treaties. The agreement promised peace, mutual assistance, and cooperation between two great powers. It reminds us that some of history's greatest victories are achieved not through war, but through diplomacy. Ramesses was not only a warrior, he was one of history's greatest builders. Across Egypt, magnificent temples, colossal statues, and towering monuments proclaimed the glory of his reign. Among his greatest achievements stands the breathtaking temple of Abu Simbel. Carved directly into the mountainside, it remains one of the world's most extraordinary architectural masterpieces. By the time Rameses the Great died, he had become a legend. His monuments inspired generations, his diplomacy shaped the ancient world, and his name echoed across centuries. Yet even the mightiest kingdoms cannot escape the passage of time. Egypt's final chapter was drawing near. More than 1,000 years after the great pyramid builders, Egypt stood at another crossroads. The ancient kingdom was now ruled by the Ptolemaic dynasty, descendants of one of Alexander the Great's generals. Around 51 BC, a young queen came to the throne. Her name was Cleopatra VII. She would become the last active ruler of ancient Egypt and one of history's most famous queens. Cleopatra was far more than the legends often portray. Ancient sources and modern historians describe her as an intelligent and capable ruler. She was fluent in multiple languages, understood diplomacy, and worked tirelessly to preserve Egypt's independence. Her greatest challenge was not within Egypt itself, but across the Mediterranean. A new superpower, Rome, was rapidly expanding. To secure Egypt's future, Cleopatra formed political alliances with some of Rome's most powerful leaders, including Julius Caesar, and later, Mark Antony. These relationships shaped the future of both Egypt and Rome, but after years of political struggle, conflict became unavoidable. Egypt's destiny would soon be decided on the battlefield. In 31 BC, the fleets of Octavian and the combined forces of Cleopatra and Mark Antony met at the Battle of Actium. Octavian emerged victorious. The defeat marked the end of Egypt's resistance. Within a year, both Antony and Cleopatra had died. After more than 3,000 years of pharaonic civilization, Egypt became a province of Rome. The age of the pharaohs had come to an end, but ancient Egypt itself did not disappear. Its monuments continued to inspire. Its discoveries transformed archaeology, and its achievements became part of humanity's shared heritage. Though kingdoms may fall, great civilizations can live forever. For centuries, much of ancient Egypt lay buried beneath the desert sands. Temples crumbled, tombs disappeared, cities were forgotten. Yet the desert preserved extraordinary treasures. Archaeologists continue to uncover new discoveries, revealing fresh insights into one of history's greatest civilizations. Even today, ancient Egypt continues to surprise the world. Ancient Egypt's legacy reaches far beyond its monuments. Its achievements in architecture, engineering, mathematics, medicine, agriculture, and writing influenced civilizations for thousands of years. Hieroglyphs preserved history. Monumental construction inspired generations. The knowledge of the Nile became part of humanity's shared story. For centuries, the meaning of hieroglyphs had been lost. Then, in 1799, soldiers discovered the Rosetta Stone because it contained the same text written in 3 scripts. Scholars were eventually able to decipher the language of ancient Egypt. Suddenly, voices that had been silent for nearly 2,000 years could speak once again. Every year, millions of people travel to Egypt, drawn by its timeless monuments. Writers, artists, filmmakers, historians, and scientists continue to find inspiration in its remarkable past. New discoveries are still being made. New questions continue to be asked. and the mysteries of ancient Egypt remain as captivating today as they were thousands of years ago. More than 5,000 years have passed since a civilization first flourished beside the Nile. Kingdoms rose, dynasties changed, empires came and went, but the legacy of ancient Egypt endures. Its monuments continue to inspire wonder. Its ideas continue to shape our understanding of history and its people, through the achievements they left behind, remind us of humanity's extraordinary capacity for imagination, perseverance, and creation. As long as the Nile continues to flow, the story of ancient Egypt will never truly end. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the history of ancient Egypt. If you enjoyed this documentary and want to explore the civilizations, empires, and forgotten stories that shaped our world, be sure to subscribe and become part of our growing community. We'd also love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell us which chapter of history you'd like us to uncover next. Until next time, thank you for watching.